I spent months researching who really owns our Black-owned products. And I was shocked to find non-Black owners from Paris, Delhi, Mumbai, Cincinnati, and London. Some of these brands used to be Black-owned, but were sold off more than 20 years ago, but the boxes never changed, tricking us to believe their lies. So I pulled the sale records, the press releases, and the trademark filings for the biggest names in Black-owned products. I'm Mama Health, and I spend hours researching so you don't have to guess. By the end, you'll know who really owns all 7 Black products. You'll have the 5 that are still Black owned, and you'll have a 30-second test you can run on any bottle before you buy it. I'll be sharing my findings weekly, to make sure to subscribe. Okay, 2 things first. This is about ownership, which is public record. It's not about product quality, because some of these are still good products. The question is where the money goes. And everything here is public research plus my honest opinion, not legal advice. I'm your friend on the internet, not your lawyer. If you ever need to dig into something for your own situation, take it to someone with the degree. Number 7 has an ending I did not see coming. In March 2025, that brand did something nobody in this industry ever does. And once you know it, the whole map reads differently. Okay, let's go back to Brooklyn, 1993. Lisa Price is mixing hair butter in her kitchen and selling it at flea markets. Her mother's name was Carol, so the brand is literally named for a Black mother. That origin story built 2 decades of trust. Oprah's backing, celebrity investors, all of it. Then in October 2014, L'Oreal buys Carol's daughter. Reports put the price around $27 million. The bottles didn't change. The kitchen story stayed on the website. What changed was the answer to one question. For the next decade, when you bought Carol's daughter to support a Black-owned business, the profit went to a corporation headquartered outside Paris. The reaction split right down the middle, and nobody named the feeling better than Lisa Price herself. Years later, she said that when Black-owned companies sell to big corporations that are not Black, some Black customers get upset because it feels like this thing that belongs to us is being taken and changed so it can be sold to everybody else. That's pin number 1, Paris. Hold on to this brand, because what happened to it in March 2025 is half the reason I made this video. Number 6 sold 16 years ago for $100 million to a company you've never heard of on a continent you wouldn't guess. If you grew up around relaxers, you know ORS Organic Root Stimulator, the olive oil replenishing pack. Namaste Laboratories built it in Chicago. Black founded, made for us. In 2010, Dabur India bought Namaste for roughly $100 million, all cash. Dabur is one of the biggest consumer goods companies in India, headquartered outside Delhi. Toothpaste, Ayurvedic products, juices, and for the last 15 years, Black hair care. There was no announcement on the shelf, no sticker that says under new management. Same bottles, same aisle, same name. People who've bought it for 20 years still have no idea. And that part is not an accident, by the way. Watch what happens all 7 times. When corporations buy mainstream brands, they announce it. Press tour, rebrand, new logo. When they buy heritage Black brands, they go quiet. Because the heritage is the asset. Touch it, and it stops working. Delhi's on the map. Number 5 is worse, because it isn't one brand, it's practically a whole aisle at once, including the kids box. 3 brands, 1 stop, because they travel together. African Pride, TCB, Just For Me, the children's box with the smiling little girl that's been in Black households for decades. All of them sit under a company called Strength of Nature, out of Georgia. Around 2016 to 2017, Strength of Nature was bought by Godrej, one of India's oldest corporate giants, based in Mumbai. So a brand with Africa in its name and a kids' hair care line marketed to Black mothers since the 90s, both owned from Mumbai. That one took me a minute, and Godrej didn't hide it. Their own announcement said the deal grew their hair care business for people of African descent worldwide. In plain words, our hair is a global product category, and corporations on 4 continents are bidding on it. Black Americans spend 9 times more on hair care than the general population. Every corporation with a beauty division has read that report. Mumbai joins Paris and Delhi. Now, number 4 is different from everything else here, because number 4 didn't sell out. There was nothing to sell. Cantu is in the black hair care section of every store in America. The curl cream, the leave-in, the whole natural hair starter kit. Ask 10 people if Cantu is black owned, and 9 will say, obviously. Cantu was never black owned, not sold off, never ours to begin with. The brand started life under corporate owners. In July 2015, PDC Brands out of Connecticut bought it, and PDC itself sits under CVC, Capital Partners, a private equity giant. Don't take my word for it, because Cantu's own UK website says it in their FAQ. In their words, we are not black owned, we are black led. You can't sell out if you were never in. There's no betrayal story here, no founder who cashed out. Cantu is the other thing, a brand built for our shelf from day one. The packaging language, the models, the placement right next to actually black founded brands. It was made to be assumed black hair care is a $1.4 billion market, and shoppers in it actively look for black owned. A brand that looks the part without being it collects all of that loyalty for free. So now you've seen both versions, brands that were ours and got sold, and brands that were never ours and dressed the part. Number 3 is the biggest name in the first group that almost nobody knows about, because it happened before social media existed to get angry about it. Dark and Lovely might be the most recognizable box in the history of black hair care. It comes from Soft Sheen Carson, and that name sounds like 2 black founders because it was. Soft Sheen, built by the Gardner family in Chicago. Carson Products out of Savannah. Real black businesses that grew in segregated markets and sold in barbershops when department stores wouldn't stock them. L'Oreal bought Carson in 1998 and Soft Sheen in 2000, then merged them. That's a quarter century ago. A whole generation grew up assuming Dark and Lovely is a black brand, and the whole time every box fed the same balance sheet as Garnier and Lancôme. One detail stings more than the rest. Remember number 7, Carol's Daughter, same buyer. For a solid decade, L'Oreal owned the Heritage Relaxer brand and the Natural Hair Kitchen brand at the same time. So when the natural hair movement pulled women away from relaxers, the money didn't leave. It walked down the hallway of the same building in Paris. Paris, twice. You never actually leave. Quick one. If these receipts are useful, subscribe, because number 2 is the freshest wound on this list, and you probably watched the panic happen live on your feed. Monique Rodriguez was a registered nurse from Chicago who started mixing products at home in 2014. In under a decade, Miel became the crown jewel of new black hair care, and the rosemary mint scalp oil turned into the single most viral black hair product on the planet. January 12th, 2023. Procter & Gamble buys Miel. The internet ran the audit in real time. Women posted videos stockpiling the rosemary oil, scared the formula would quietly change. One post went everywhere. Miel got sold to Procter & Gamble, and now everybody hair falling out. Another, I hate that black folks can't keep anything for ourselves. The fear even made the national papers. Black women worried the brand would drop them right after white influencers drove the demand spike. That fear wasn't paranoia, it was pattern recognition. Every woman posting had lived through number 1 on this list. Now the other side, because we do receipts here, not just rage. Miel runs as an independent unit inside P&G Beauty. Monique stayed on as CEO, her husband Melvin as COO. and the deal came with a $10 million commitment to their Miel Cars nonprofit. Her words, "This partnership gives Miel the ability to serve more consumers with textured hair, with the formulas our community loves. So maybe it holds." It really might. But understand what you're being asked to trust. The promise isn't hers to keep anymore. It belongs to shareholders in Cincinnati. Which brings us to number 1. The biggest sale in the history of black beauty, and the week the internet wrote a eulogy for a shampoo brand. Every Shea Moisture bottle tells you about Sophie Tucker, a widowed mother selling shea butter in Sierra Leone in 1912. Her grandson, Richelieu Dennis, brought the recipes to New York, sold on Harlem streets, and built Sundial Brands into the biggest black-owned beauty company in America. By 2017, Sundial was doing roughly $240 million a year in sales. Then, in November 2017, Unilever bought Sundial, and RIP Shea Moisture trended for days. People posted goodbye videos to a conditioner, because for a lot of women, this wasn't a business story. This was our proof that ours could win at scale, and now it sat in the same portfolio as Dove and Axe. But this sale has a twist, and you deserve the whole twist. Dennis negotiated something real on the way out. The deal created the New Voices Fund, $50 million committed to investing in black women entrepreneurs. And Dennis went on to bring Essence magazine back into black ownership, which makes this the most complicated sale on the list. Money left the community's shelf, and some of it was deliberately routed back. You're allowed to hold both facts at once. Look at the finished map. The black-owned shelf, owned from Paris, Delhi, Mumbai, Cincinnati, and London. So no, you're not wrong for feeling like the label lies. And now I owe you number 7's ending. March 2025. The thing that never happens, happened. In March 2025, L'Oreal let go of Carol's daughter, and Lisa Price bought her way back in. 11 years after selling, she returned as president with an ownership stake alongside an independent beauty entrepreneur. Her own words, "Today, I begin a new chapter and reclaim the indie spirit of my brand as its forever founder." A pin came off the map, and it's the only one on this whole board that does. One brand, one deal, and it doesn't undo the rest of the map. But it proves the door swings both ways. So let's end on the 5 that never left. Number 5, the do. Maya Smith is a working stylist, and her salon-born formulas did about $38 million in sales last year. Full transparency, because the good list gets checked too. In April 2026, the Do sold a small piece of the company, a minority stake, to VMG Partners. It's still founder-led and still black-controlled. But watch this space. You now know exactly what to look for. Number 4, Pattern Beauty, Tracy Ellis Ross's company. Independent, founder-driven, and built specifically for curls, coils, and tight textures. Number 3, TGIN. Thank God it's natural. Founded by Chris Tia Donaldson, the Harvard-trained lawyer who left corporate law to build it. After her passing in 2021, her niece Aris Singleton took over. Still 100% black-owned, still family. Number 2, Camille Rose. Janelle Stevens started it in her kitchen while raising 5 kids. She's self-funded from day one. She owns all of it to this day, and she has publicly turned away buyout offers. The cleanest ownership story in black beauty. And number 1, Luster Products, the pink lotion out of Chicago. Family owned since 1957, through 3 generations, every buyout wave, every offer, every decade. The bottle your grandmother used is still owned by the family that made it. 69 years, still ours. Before you buy anything off a black-owned display, run the check I used on every brand here. Search the brand name plus the word acquisition. 30 seconds. If the top result is a corporate press release, now you know. The full verified list, All 12 brands with sources and dates is in the pinned comment. I update it whenever the map changes, and it changed twice while I was making this. Comment the brand that shocked you most. The most mentioned one gets the full deep dive next. Next week, a lab tested the synthetic braiding hair sold in every beauty supply store in America. What they found in those packs should have been a national story. We're naming the brands. Until then, read the label, check the owner, and keep it ours.